Hey YouTube, you'll see I got a little bit of room left in the made in the garage now. Next project, the C10 gets to go on hold again while I figure some other stuff out. I have a Dodge 1500 with some transmission problems. It's slipping after it changes gears. The other day I pulled out to pass somebody and I couldn't pass them. I had to pull back in because it was just revving and nothing. So we're gonna pull that in here and take a look. I got a couple cheap things to try first. It might be just transmission fluid level. I am also going to reset the what is it called, the TCM, and I've ordered a new transmission pan because just to have it on, that's my next thing to try, but I thought I'd order it anyways. I have a friend that recommends the Dodge transmission fluid as opposed to the economical stuff that I put in. So we'll see if we end up doing that in the end, but hopefully I can get it back to normal. I also got to get my daughter's car in and change some belts before getting back on the truck. So I'm going to throw tarps over that so it doesn't rust any more than it is. And yeah, so we'll throw a little bit of that in. I'm just gonna sweep the floor here and then pull the truck in and put it up on blocks and take a look at the transmission, the fluid level, and reset. I'll show you the truck anyways. There, I got the truck out on the cement pad, so I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna throw a tarp over it just in case we get rain and want to keep it dry. I also got to change the tires on the cart for the box. All the tires went flat over the winter and all the tubes cracked and have holes in them, so I picked up some solid wheels and I'm going to replace them so it gets summer tires put on that cart. So see you in a bit. Not a lot of room in the garage once I get that truck in, but I'll take that light down and see how high up I can get the truck up. We're going to build some cribbing for the tires rather than jacks because I want to have some cribbing for the square body eventually. So I figured I'd take today to build them and try them out as well. I've got to have the truck come up level for the transmission fluid, so we'll give that a try. So it looks like the camera shut off, or either I forgot to hit record, but this is what we got done up. A 12 by 18 cribbing. And let's throw it under the tire and see what happens. Should mention that that gives me a 9 1/4 elevation on the tires. Should give me lots of room underneath. I'm happy with it, so I will make one for the other side. Okay, here's for all you millennial farmer fans. Well, the truck's up and level. All 4 wheels are 9 1/4 inches, give or take, off the ground. And I wouldn't want to go any further. If you can see up here, there's not a whole lot of room left to go vertical with this truck. I think it works out quite nicely. I'm happy with it. So let's get underneath and see what the level of the transmission fluid is. Before we climb underneath the truck, we're going to disconnect the battery. That's how we reset a TCM or a transmission control module. And what I read is you just disconnect the battery. You can touch the two ends together to drain what power is left in the system. Let it sit for a couple hours and that'll reset it. So I figured I'd do that first and let it sit while I'm climbing underneath. I won't be able to tell if it gets fixed, whether it's this or the transmission fluid, but we'll see. This is an easy fix, so. Okay, let's go underneath the truck. Actually, before we get under the truck, I got a couple stories to tell. I've just spent the last 45 minutes looking for my hex key that I was sizing out to figure out what to take the plug out with, and it was in the plug. So it turns out it's a 5/16. I think it was a, yeah, it's a 5/16 hex to take out that fill plug in the transmission, which doesn't make sense when everything else on this truck should be metric, but a 8 millimeter just doesn't fit. 7 is too loose. So this 5/16 is the size. Go figure. The other thing we're going to need is some Valvoline Max Life transmission fluid. From what I read and seen online, that is a close to equivalent of the Chrysler Dodge transmission fluid. My buddy says I should be using the Dodge transmission fluid, but until I know what's going on with the transmission, I'm going to just top it up with this. If it does fix it, I'm probably going to change, like I said, change the transmission fluid here in a little while. But I want to get it working first, so without spending too crazy money. The other story I wanted to tell was when I was changing the transmission. I changed the transmission last summer. It was at 300,000 kilometers. I pulled the pan, replaced the pan with a Dorman transmission filter pan, and I had, I think it was 10 or 11 liters of this, and I have my like big syringe, siphon syringe for this. Just suck it up and then push it in. Well, the first go, I sucked transmission fluid up, put it in. Oh yeah, there's a 90-degree copper thing on the end, so you'll see it get up in there. But the first time I go to put some in, my feet slipped and I kicked over one of these jugs, drained like 3/4 or 3 or 4 liters on the concrete pad outside, and then I had to run into town and get another jug. So let's hope I don't do that this time. I don't know how much I'm going to need, if I need any, but we'll get underneath there and see. Okay, I hope you can see that okay. Let's get in here, and so that's where I was sitting when I was searching the garage for this thing. So, a little lapse in memory. I was supposed to bring this transmission up to speed, I believe, before I went and undid that plug. Now I got really black transmission fluid all over my floor. But what I do want to say is whoever did design this, well, the exhaust on this is an idiot. The drain plug is right underneath. Well, I guess I can't blame them because they don't have, the Dodges don't have a drain plug. So maybe it's the Dorman pan, but that's the only place it could be. But this could have been, well, I don't know. There's really no good spot for it. If it's too far back, I can't get the pan on. Too far front, I can't get at those bolts to take it off. I did strip this drain plug when I was putting the pan in, so the pan does have to come out when I'm going to drain it. But I got to find out if I can just heat this transmission up while it's up on blocks. Connect the battery again, start it, fire it up, and I think I'm going to take a break, but it won't be a break to you guys. Okay, so we're back. Watched another YouTube video. I probably should have brought the transmission up to temperature before pulling that cap off, but it is what it is. I can do it now. There is quite a procedure to bring the transmission up to temperature and get the air out and all sorts of stuff like that. So the quick and dirty, I wrote it all down. You start the truck, you idle the truck, you check the fluid, you get back in the truck, disable traction control, press the brake, you reverse for 5 seconds, neutral, and then drive for 5 seconds, then you release the brake, you rev it up to shift to second gear for 5 seconds, you brake, you put it in neutral, you release the brake, you rev it to 2000 for 5 seconds, you let it go down to idle, press the brake, put it in park, let the transmission warm up to 86 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and then check the fluid level again. So that's what we're going to be doing. I was a little concerned that the transmission fluid came out pretty black, but I poured it on some paper here. I'll put up a picture of it. There's just some really fine, like the brown in it. It's not, I don't think it's filings, it's just a really fine, you want to call it sediment or something like that. The fluid is red, but it's settled, so the black is at the bottom. So hopefully the filter's doing its job, but I do want to change the oil when change the transmission fluid once that pan comes in. I do want to do it either way. So okay, so we got the truck back on the ground. We're going to take it for a test drive and see what happens. Let's just see how it feels. Pretty responsive from reverse to drive. But that's not when the issue was happening. don't need to be looking for. Face you forward. So far feels normal, but so did it before. Just easy acceleration, no issues. Like somebody's making a trip to the dump and the tailgate just opened up, so somebody might lose something on the way. Oh, he noticed, so he's gonna stop. So far, there was one little hesitation there, but let's see what. Might be just me being paranoid. So we're going 100 kilometers an hour. I get straight here. I'm going to see what it looks like when I go to pass, because that, well, simulation before I was doing 80, and I pulled out to pass somebody, and I could not get above 80. So we'll. That. Okay, we're at 80. If I floor it, nope, it still won't do it. testing with the paddles, it seems to shift okay. So that should help me. I don't think it's transmission. It might be a TCM problem. Quick follow-up to this video. I ended up taking the truck to a garage in Edmonton, recommended by a buddy, and they were really good. They took it for a drive, and they actually figured it was powertrain related. First thing they thought was a plugged exhaust. They took out the O2 sensors and improved it a little bit, but still wasn't shifting right. He ended up hooking up gauge to the fuel, checked the fuel pressure, and it ended up being a fuel pump in the end. $1,300 later, and the truck is running fine again. So we'll do a little cleanup and wash and have the truck back like brand new. So if you made it to the end, I really appreciate you watching the video. See you soon.